much, Julie, for telling me that we had no sound. I will cut that out at the start. So welcome to Suzanne for Cake School. I'll give another couple of shout outs. I was just saying like hello to everybody that's come in. And obviously if you can't lip read, you won't realise that I said like what beautiful flowers our students had put in this week from Monique and also Joe as well. Thank you so much. And we've got like so many of you here just now, which is just amazing. We're going to be doing a little cheeky demo on stenciling, and I'm going to make up some Royal Icing. I'll share with you a brand that I'm using just now, which I really like. And I'll give you all the details and we'll make it together. So if I screw it up, you'll see where I go wrong and then you can see how I'm going to fix it. Let's see. Hopefully you can hear us now. Let me see. I'm just looking down. Yeah, we've got you. Thank you so much. Right, okay, so from the top, I'm just going to give a few shout outs. So hi, Sarah, you were first in the door. Lovely to see you here. And Deborah as well. Hi, Carol. And we've got Colette and Julie as well. Amanda, Rouge, Monique, Christine, not Christine, Kirsten. Hi Sandra as well. So let me know in the comments if you are new to Stannis for Cake School. How did you see this little live? I hope you are going to enjoy this. Basically, I'm going to teach you just a couple of tricks that I use when I'm stenciling because it can be quite nerve-wracking when you go on a cake. So I'm going to be demoing a couple of my new stencils. I'm going to be demoing flat. But I'm going to like talk you through how we put it on a cake, and then basically I'll do that as another demo as well. I don't want this to run on too long because I've got quite a lot to show you. So I'm going to be using this Royal Icing. I'm just going to go from above. Okay, so this is from Cake Stuff. This is a Fun Cakes Royal Icing, and I've been using this the last couple of cakes and really like it. It works really well and I don't have to add any whitener to it. It seems white enough, which I really like. And basically all I do is I'm just following the instructions on the packet, which is basically putting 450 grams of the Royal Icing into my mixer with approximately 55 mils of water. Now, the reason I say approximately is because there's so many places where we can go wrong with that. For instance, if you add just 55 mils of water, you might find that your mixer struggles to mix that in. So there's going to be stages where you need to scrape it down and where you might need to add a little bit extra water. So what I've done is I've measured out 100 mils of water so that I can kind of roughly weigh at the end and let you know if I've added any more or any less. So we'll do this together. And that's going to help you gauge. And what I like to do is I like to make a sort of thicker Royal Icing to begin with. And then I take some out and then basically I'll loosen that up as well. Simply because if you make a big batch of Royal Icing and it's nice and thick, I call that my stock. I tend to put that aside, take some out, because if I add more water to the stock and I ruin it, well, it takes a good bit to come back. You'll have to be adding extra icing sugar in there, and it kind of just screws up the ratio, which, you know, we don't want any more faff. So take out from the main stock and you dilute that. So if you screw it up, you've only screwed up a small amount. And the same with if you're adding colour into that, just take out a small amount unless you need like a vast amount. And the beauty of the big packets is you don't have to use it all. I've only weighed out half. And the reason I've done half is because I need that amount in my mixer so that it touches the sides. If you're using hand beaters, you could probably get away with less, because I have actually tried less than that and it does nothing. It's, even though like my beater's fine for making cakes, it just doesn't do anything when I am working with Royal Icing. Okay, so that's that. I thought I would bring over this cake here because this one has one of the stencils on it I'm going to share with you. Obviously this is like from my new class. Let me just bring this round. Right, so it might be a little bit too bright. Let's see. Might be able to get that in. Oh, hang on, that's my mixer that you see the top of. Move that out of the way. There we go. So this one is the new, this is a fallen leaves border. So that basically, I designed this because I really like the shape of the leaves and I wanted just a little bit on the cake. And then basically I used that same Royal Icing that I'm going to show you today. So I really like that. And it's a lovely coverage. I didn't have to put tulle over the top of it or any material to get a really nice cover, and I stenciled this directly on to the cake, so it works really well. And I've also done a couple of I've had a couple of students in doing some private lessons who've used the stencil and they really liked it. It was really quite easy, and I'll bring over this other one as well. So this one is the full length. So you can see here, I've stenciled the full length of this one, and I'll show you that from the side. I keep forgetting which buttons I'm pressing. I'm back. Oh, wrong one. This one. Okay, so you can see that there. Really, really pretty. So you get the full length effect. And I just panelled this cake, so I'll probably show you how to do this at some point as well. It's really, really nice. So it's dead pretty, so I'm going to show you those. Let me just move this guy back out the road because I'm very clumsy, as you all know. Okay, so let me come from above. So I'm going to show you those ones. So I've got 3 different sizes in the stencil. This is my extra wide. So this is called extra large on the site. And basically it's just 2 lots of this stencil on a row. What I wanted to do was basically have taller stencils so that this can do like a 6-inch, an 8-inch, a 10-inch cake, and you only need to buy the one stencil. Now, if you're like me and you want to be fast and efficient, then going for the double width one is going to speed you up. So we do have obviously the normal size one if you find that this is just a little bit too hard to manage, or if you're working on a smaller cake, because if you wrap this round like say a 5-inch, you're going to like maybe trip yourself up just a little bit, whereas this one works on the smaller cakes better. And these ones, well, it's universal, but it all depends on how you feel for your skills. And also, let me just find, so this is the border version. This is what you've seen on my lovely cake that I showed at the start, and it's just a repeat pattern. So all of these match up one side to the other, so that you can get your repeat pattern. That's every single one. And this one's about 7-inch tall. So if you're working on a 6-inch cake, all you need to do is start the stencil about there on your cake, and you'll raise that off the table. Your cake that is, and then your stencil would drop below the base of the cake, and then you'd start your pattern wherever you decided you wanted it. You could have this also like spanning 2 tiers. So for instance, if you had the big one on your bottom tier, and then you decide to put half of the border on the next tier, it's going to look absolutely gorgeous, as if it's just spreading up the cake. So that's something that I'm going to hopefully do a little example of as well at some point. So that's the brand new stencils today. These ones are on the site under special offers, and they do have a cheeky little discount on them, just for a short while we introduce them. Also, I redesigned Meadow Breeze. So basically, in the past, we design these, these ones are actually in stock just now on our site, and basically the one before was quite small, and I always wanted bigger stencils, simply because I just wanted to be able to do one stencil for multiple tier sizes, and I felt like the smaller ones were just a little bit disadvantageous in that sense. And these ones are all repeatable as well. Again, the big one is 2 of these, so that you're speeding yourself up. And yeah, so you can use them for multiple sizes of cake. So I absolutely love these. So these are newly redesigned. And you'll be able to pick those up on the site as well. And I've put those on a wee cheeky special offer. And then next up, in about a week or 2, I'll be releasing my embossers for This Is the Fallen Leaves and the Meadow Breeze. And I'll also be releasing, I'm just going to grab it, the embosser for, let me just grab, I've got several new ones here, but I'm only going to do a couple at a time, just so I'm not overwhelming. That's the Lily Abstract one there as well, so it's really, really pretty. So we'll have embossers that match all of the stencils, and then the last thing that I'll introduce is stencils for cookies, but you can also use these for cookies, but we'll probably condense the pattern down just a little bit, so look out for those as well. Okay, so let me just come back to the front. Let's see what questions or anything we've got. I love that. Julie says, oh, fab, a special offer. And, oh, I just threw, oh, hang on. So what we're going to see here, like that was, I have a spotlight above my table, which really annoys me because it shines down a light if I've got something shiny on the table, which is super annoying. And I put, actually sellotaped like a flower veiner over the top of it to try and hide that on top of what I'm going to show you today. Anyhow, it's just fell down. So luckily we don't have any sugar flowers here, otherwise they would have smashed. But hey, that's just a lie for you. So you'll see a really annoying shine in a minute. Let me see. Oh, excellent. Colette says, she says, oh cool, love the new embossers. So Kirsty says, will you be able to say how it's best to apply Royal Icing stencil to an acrylic cake tier? Normally I use a few sterilised pins, but obviously that won't work. Yeah, you can just use masking tape. So you're going to have to basically, so on my stencils I have cut lines here. So they're just little cut squares. Let me just bring you to above. So you'll see here, I'll just move that out of the way. They're just little cut sections there. You can thread masking tape through here and then tie that around your acrylic tier. And if it's helpful, I will do a little demo on that maybe in another lesson. So I'll make sure I make a note of that because I think others would probably like to see that too. So yeah, I'll try that for you. But yeah, it would be masking tape, or you can put ribbon and tie it quite tight. But you just want to get that as flush to your plastic tier as possible. But the good thing about acrylic is that it's flat, you know, like it's got a smooth side, so you shouldn't have any bumps or lumps or anything. So it's all good. So that's basically what we're going to do. So I have some acetate that I'm going to stencil on for the other stencils, but for this one, I thought it'd be quite nice if we do it on flour paste, so you can see the sort of how easy it is, and we'll have to roll it out. But that's only sort of downfall for that side, but it's on the table and it's ready. So let me just bring over, right, actually, let me come back to the front. We're going to bring in my mixer. Don't drop it. Ugh, it's a beast. Oh, don't move my table as well, Susie. Right, so in here, I have my Royal Icing already weighed out. Now, normally I would use this beater for, like this whisk for my Royal Icing, but I'm actually going to use my beater because I want to get all of my sides sort of involved in this, okay? So first and foremost, I'm just going to grab my water. So in here, I've got 100 mils of water. I'll just go and grab a little tablespoon just now so I don't just tip it all in. What's that? I normally have a bigger tablespoon, so I've found a wee half tablespoon. Goodness knows where everything goes. Right, so I'm going to put in, so it's about 55 mils, which would be, if that's 7.5, I'm going to do about 8 of these, see how much that is. I can't talk and count at the same time, funnily enough. Okay, and then I'm going to pop this on, so it might get a little bit noisy, okay, so just bear with. Once the liquid is in, I'll take off the splash guard so you can start to see. You can see that it's actually coming together now because I just didn't want all the plumes of Royal Icing coming up into the camera. So it's starting to grab it. It's just not grabbing it enough, so I'm just going to turn it up. That's another half tablespoon in. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is quickly scrape that down. Okay, just get everything in. So it's obviously feeling really thick just now and stiff. Okay, so it's going to want to grip, so I need to get some more water in there sharp. Okay. So that's another half tablespoon. And now it starts to look like it's spreading out from the sides. And it's basically, I don't want to add any more water just now. I'm going to give it a good mix. So this takes about 5 minutes. We'll just let that go. And what I'll do is I'll go and get my scales and we can then measure the water. So it's just a little bit of a process. There's no fast way to do this. I don't have a Blue Peter moment where I've already got one made. We are literally going to use this. Oh, I'm not sure who Soul Searcher is, but oh dear, more spending. But I absolutely adore your product, so thank you. Oh, and Irene says she finally sees how to use this beater. This beater is fantastic for cakes. It's already looking beautiful. Let me come back from above. Let me just show you. It's already looking nice and white and it's starting to come together. So I'm just going to give it a little scrape down while I can. That's better. It feels more pliable as well. You could probably get a better spatula than me. But hey, this is lies for you. Okay, so you definitely want to give it at least 5 minutes. So I'm just going to pop this on. It's got about another 2 minutes or so. It looks really good. I do not know how easy it is for you to hear or not hear. Okay, so I'm going to just come back to the start. I do see we've got quite a few questions, which I'll definitely answer. So don't worry. Is that a Kenwood? Yes, it is. Any tabletop one will do. This one is a Chef XL titanium. So this is one of their newer ones. I'm trying to think where I got it. I think it was Nesbitt's. It was on offer. Like, this is my 5th Kenwood, which I absolutely adore. Like, I'm a Kenny girl. I love them. So I'm not sure, like, I can still see you, Carol. Hopefully everything's okay. Let me see, is that machine? Let me see, I've read that one. Linda says she uses a Kenwood beater all the time for the cakes. Right, let me just see. I've got like a couple of questions there on Royal Icing, which I'll come back to. Let me know if you can still see me, okay? Okay, so I'm just going to scrape this down. And I'm only going to take out about half of it into my tub because this is the perfect consistency. It's lovely and white. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a damp tea towel on this. So I'm just going to move this out of the way. move it over to the side, just so that I know that I can use it again if I need to. And if we need any more, gosh, it weighs a ton. Right, okay, let me just put a damp tea towel over. Okay, so let me come back to the front. So I have my Royal Icing. It's looking really good. I'm scraping it away from the sides of the pot. I will need to add water to this, but before I do that, I'm just going to cover it over because I don't want it to dry out. Because I want to weigh, I want to weigh the water that we have left. So this is really interesting actually. I weighed out 100 mils of water, and to get it to the nice stock consistency, I've actually used 55 mils of water, exactly what was recommended on the package. So Tracy's asked if I'll be giving out the recipe for the Royal Icing with the stencils. It's not my recipe, it's just adding the Royal Icing mix, and it tells you on the back exactly what to do, but I'll put in the links. I'll put these in on my website underneath the listings as well, so that it's useful for you. It's brilliant because we don't have to add any whitener to it, which is all good. Right, okay, so let me just have a quick check, make sure we're still live. Oh, brilliant, brilliant. What's the make of the mixer? It's a Kenwood, and that one is Chef XL Titanium, which I love. Brilliant. Right, so there was a couple of questions there. Let me just see. It was something about ganache. I've seen a ganache question. I use ganache. Do I use ganache for stenciling or royal icing on the ganache? Either. Obviously, your ganache would need to be pliable, so that you would ganache a cake as normal, chill it like completely in the fridge, bring it out, wrap your stencil, and then if you've got a pliable ganache that's spreadable consistency, you can absolutely use ganache, no problem. That way, it's going to match the colour of your cake. But equally, if you want to use royal icing, it'll be an absolute dream on your ganache. So that'll be perfect for you. Okay, let me see. How do you store the leftover royal icing? So what I tend to do is after today, like if I'm going to be doing a little video, because I want to add some of these videos onto my website to show how to use the stencils. I'll have some left over. I'll get some damp tissue. So I've actually got some here, some damp paper towel, and like I'll put cling film right over the surface. So I tend to put it in a smaller tub, so that it's not overfull, but I'll get cling film right over the surface so there's no air, and then I pop a little damp tissue sitting on top of the cling film, but under the lid, and then seal the lid. And what that does is it stops the crystallization on the surface. But if you do end up getting your royal icing crystallized on top, because that happens when you don't fully close your tub properly or air's got in, you can just put a little bit of boiling water on the surface of your dried out stuff and just let it seep, and then you should be able to like get rid of the clumps, because the last thing you want is any hard crystallized sugar when you're stenciling, because it gouges out the pattern. It's a right riot to work with. Okay, so, oh, sugar, let me just move this out the way. So that's my stock. I will need to like loosen it up just a little bit, but I thought we would bring it over. We're going to test it first. So what I've done is, to make it a little bit easier to see, I've got a bit of acrylic and a little bit of chocolate acetate on top, okay? This is just so I can stencil on that and not have to wash the board in between. I'll just get a new bit of acetate, just for the purposes of this lovely demo. Right, okay, so what I'm looking for is, let me just grab this one. So I've also got on the table somewhere a ganache plate so that I can, and what did I do? Okay, so let me just come from above. Okay, so there's that silly thing up there. So what I'll do is, there we go. It's not going to annoy me anymore. Okay, so I've got a bit of a disc here, because I always suggest do not just stencil straight onto a cake without testing your royal icing. That's the 101 like bad thing to do, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to stencil. You can stencil on acetate. You can stencil on parchment, you can stencil on your mats, you can stencil on anything other than the cake at this point. So we've got our stencil to test, and basically the thickness of this right now, it's lovely, but I want it a little bit more pliable, okay? So what we're looking for is when we stencil it on, that the Royal Icing is not too shiny and it's not raised, because if you stencil it and it looks bulgy, it's going to run between and it's just not going to have a great, clean, crisp look. So all I do, this has got water in it. I'm just going to take up a little bit of the Royal Icing, dunk it in the water, shake off the excess, move that right out your way, and then push it on to the other Royal Icing and start to work it in, because we want this in a spreadable consistency, but not too thick, okay? So I suggest working in a nice small bowl, to be honest, because then you'll have quicker mixing. A little bit more, shake off the excess. The reason I don't pour the water in is because I've got a tendency to pour too much, and then I'm back to square one where I've got to dip into the stock and then start mixing again. Now I won't know this is the right consistency until I start to test. Gosh, I can never not get it all over myself. So this is the easiest way that I can explain about the water situation, because if you do go too heavy-handed, then you're not going to enjoy the process. And I love stenciling. It really transforms a cake in the quickest way ever. Right, okay, I'm going to give this a go, and I'm going to wash my hands because I don't like that on me. Right, okay, so I got the tissue over just to sit over my pot, because the last thing I want is this drying out, okay? And I've got a little spatula. Just going to take some of that Royal Icing out. It's not dripping off my spatula. So at this stage, is it correct consistency? I don't know. We're going to test that, so I'm just going to place it flat on here. I'm going to grab a little scraper. Hold your stencil flat, because if this moves, it can go underneath and then it can give you a false indication that, oh, it's too runny, when in fact it's not. It's just that your hand slipped. Okay, so make sure it's nicely scraped out, and then what we're going to do is just gently peel this off. And what we're looking for is a really nice clean pattern, which is what that is. So if I come from the side, let me move this back. There we go, that's probably the focal point there. So it's clean, it's not bulging, it's not going to run, and you can see that it's got the full pattern on there, and it's not shiny. Okay, so it's lovely, flat and everything. So this is a nice consistency. Now if you went too far, in one of the demos I might actually take it too far to show you the mess that it makes, so you know what not to do, but for the interest of time just now, we're going to just crack right on. Okay, so I'm going to save our big leaf one for our fondant demo. So I'm going to stencil this twice. Hide my big light. That really annoys me. Okay, so we are going to basically stencil this pattern. Now we're quite lucky that this one's actually quite an easy pattern to stencil. It's not like, because it's flat, you can basically have much more control, okay? It's really, really easy to work with because it's less bendy. And so when you're going on to a cake, what the things that you've got to look out for is if you turn your stencil on its side, right? So I'm going to do it from above. If any little bits poke out when you do that, that could mean that there's a point where, like say a little bit like this was poking out, that icing can go underneath. But this one, in the grand scheme of things, when I roll it that way, there's a little bit here you can see. Let me just point it out. See that wee bit there? You can just see on the pink, there's a little bit that's poking out. That could give you jip, but if you have that flat to your cake and you know that that's there, that's where you would stencil it away from that pattern. just so that it doesn't lift up. You want to make sure, let me just, I've got some Royal Icing on my finger. There we go. Okay. So let's get this one stenciled. With these ones, what I like to do is just basically start from the top. We can stencil all the way down. I'm just going to give this, make yourself comfortable. So make sure you get it into a position that you feel comfortable scraping. I have a big scraper, so I'm going to be putting it on there and then I'm going to be drawing it down the stencil, okay, in one full swoop. Now obviously there are pinholes here for when you pin it on your cake, and what you would do is you would put your Royal Icing down one side and then you would scrape it in that direction, and you would stop before you get to the end, and then you'd put the Royal Icing here and you would scrape it back inwards, which means that you miss all of this, especially if you pinned it to your cake. But since it's flat, we've got choices, okay? So let's hope this doesn't move about because it's on acetate. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that on the pattern. Hopefully I won't need to make any more Royal Icing because that would be a bummer. But I'll just maybe demo some of the stencils for you. Okay, so we'll do the leaf one after this, and then we can do the border. And it's quite quick, so I will speed up. The thing is with stencils, we really don't want this to take an age. Obviously, this would be off the bottom of your cake, so it would never leave any Royal Icing. Okay. Okay, so then what we're going to do is just spread that over. One thing that I can say to you, don't do, is if your spatula's on there, just don't lift directly up. You have to scrape it to the side and off because it creates a suction. And if you basically pull that up, it's going to lift your stencil up. So now what we're going to do is, let's get this scraped down a little bit. Nice even spread. And I'm going to bring that over the other way as well. Scrape off your excess. Oh, I've got a little bit of grit in that. So this is where you need to make sure that you do the full 5 minutes on the mixer. Okay, I'm going to basically put that on again. What happens is, see if you don't scrape soon, it will start to dry. So I feel like this is what's happening here because I'm talking too much. Okay, scrape it off. Okay, and I'm going to get the rest of that scraped done. And I'll add a little bit more water to my Royal Icing mix because I feel it stiffening up. Don't fight the Royal Icing. Just take note, if you feel that it's getting thicker, it probably is. It's drying out slightly, so I need to get some more liquid on that. And then I'll retest it again, make sure it's not too wet, so that you're going to have a better experience. And then you take that off, you're left with your beautiful pattern. Okay, even though it had a couple of little scuffs when I was looking at it, it's actually really, really nice. So I'm just going to clean this up for us so you can see what that pattern would be. There we go. So that's the Meadow Breeze one. I'm just going to move this over just a little bit. And we are going to loosen up the mix a little bit because I feel that it could be looser, okay? Make sure you scrape down everything because it tends to crisp up otherwise. Okay, where's my water? I want it just a little bit more fluffier. This feels good. This is why we test things. That feels much better. Right, let's see. Right, we're going to go for, I'll do, do you just want the border next, or, well, I'll do the border because I quite like that one. So let me just move this out the way. And I'll get, make sure you clean, you don't get any Royal Icing elsewhere. Okay, so that's just going to be nice and flat. Okay, so let me just bring this over just a wee bit. So with this one, I'm going to basically start at this side. What I like about this one, it's less work. And remember what I said, don't just lift it up, okay? It has to basically come off like in a nice smooth manner. That's feeling better already. You can see how easier that was to spread on. I like it when things are easier. And again, remember this would be off the bottom of your cake, so you're not going to see any of the ruggedy lines, and you'll have protected your sides as well. Okay. I'm giving it a nice firm scrape. And I've got excess here. You can always see where you have excess. There's always, it's whiter. So I'm just going a wee bit light on the top and just getting that bottom section. Okay, and then we're going to take this one off. So that's absolutely gorgeous. So that's that one. I'm going to basically clean this up for you. So getting some like chocolate acetate is a perfect way to practice. You're not going to ruin, you don't have to roll out icing or anything, just keeps it all nice and clean. So that's our border. So then, and obviously you can see how these would translate really beautifully on the big sheets. So let me just do one more for you. We'll do this bad boy. Okay. Whoops. So obviously you want to wash your hands when you're doing this, because we don't want any opportunity for you to touch your cake and get some lovely royal icing on it. And if you're like me, your hands are all over your cake. So this one, I'll just scrape top to bottom. Now that I've put the extra water in, it feels so much better. Okay, so I'm just going to scrape that. Just so I've got about a million scrapers. Oops, I've snagged my stencil just a little bit. Yeah, I've snagged it. Hopefully I've not got the royal icing underneath, but we'll soon see. I'm just going to stencil it over. Now this one doesn't tend to snag, which is good. You need to keep your scraper straight. So I'm just going to lift it over there. That's it. Keep your scraper about 30-degree like angle, not like this way and pushing it in too hard. Learn from my mistake. Oops. Okay, so let's see this one. Oh yeah, you can see what I've done there. But what you can do, if you had to do that on a cake, because this stencil is usually really no issue at all. Let me just grab. What you would do is you would wait till it dries. I'm just going to basically, you can just go back in on, hopefully my head's not in the way. You don't want to add water to a brush. This is a dry brush. Okay, and it's clean. It's obviously never been used for painting on cakes or anything, flowers. So that we can just clean that up. That's better. It's getting there. Now, if you've got a steadier hand than me, then good, because my hands always get shaked it. There we go. And then what you can do, if there was a little bit that you didn't like, you can get a little scalpel knife and just, or a sharp, like, even like something like a cocktail stick, just to like scrape off the back bit. But I usually use like a X-Acto knife. But this, just using your paintbrush will be absolutely fine, and it'll work on fondant as well. There we go. Little did I know I'd be like showing you my DIY tricks when I screw things up. There we go. So that's fixed that bad boy. Right, okay, so now let's move this off to the side. And I'm going to cover up my icing just now because I'm going to roll out my paste. And I'll show you a couple of little things with that. So again, just cover up everything. You don't want anything exposed, and you may as well just clean off your table. Right, okay, so I am using Couture Sugar Paste today, and I've coloured it with Fractal. This is Rosy Pale, and this is what I used on my peach cake with the flowers on it, which you saw earlier, with the lovely stencil on it. So I have already coloured up my paste so that you don't have to sit and watch. And then what I'll do is I'll just pop it through my pasteling machine as well. So I'm just going to warm this back up again. So if you ever have any issues with Couture in terms of you feel it's a little bit hard in the packet, I just microwaved this. And I have to say as well, I coloured this paste up more than a month ago and kept it in just a little IKEA Ziploc, and it came back really beautifully. I just popped it in the microwave for like a couple of seconds or so, kept testing it to make sure it wasn't melting the internal part of it, because when you put sugar paste and you forget about it in a microwave, the middle can go like nuclear hot, which we don't want, okay? So I've got some lovely paste now. I do have some icing sugar. And I'll just get it started on the table, and then I'll pop it through my pasteling machine, because I want to be able to do one of the big stencils, either the Meadow Breeze, or in fact I think I'll do the leaf one, just to show you that it doesn't usually snag. So it better behave itself. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go and put this through my pasteling machine, and I'll be back in a wee second. I'll just come back to the front so that you know that I'm just over in my corner. I'll be back in a moment. Is that plugged in? It helps if it's plugged in. Okay, so I've got a lovely piece here. I just need to make it a little bit wider, I think. So I'll come back from above. Let me just check. Oh, it's perfect, but I've rolled it like a doorstop. So I do want to just roll it out a little bit more. What I like about the couture is it feels like super silky, and I love that. Like, I used to have to mix couture with karma masa, just like because I was so used to karma masa that I felt like, I don't know, it's just the properties of karma mixed with like couture were amazing, but this new couture I'm actually just using as is. But I wanted to give you a couple of tips. So if you find that it is a little bit hard in the packet, just microwave it. But also, if you're finding, like if I do a wrap, I would tend to mix masa with eleganza, which is a modelling paste, so that I can roll it like wafer thin. It's like paper almost. And when I pick it up, it doesn't tear. Now, if you had to just pick this up with your hands and try and wrap a cake, you can often poke your fingers through. So if you didn't have modelling paste, you can actually mix in a little bit of flour paste to it. And normally, I'd say the ratio is about 10%. Okay, 10% of your flour paste into your fondant, roll it fine, and basically that will go around your cake without it being too bulky. So let me just roll this out just a little bit finer. That's looking nice. Okay. So if this was going on a cake, remember this would be pinned in, so I wouldn't like have to cover these up, but I'll try my hardest not to put anything on there. And obviously you're not going to see that much of a contrast at the minute. Hopefully once we start to get this on, it'll be a bit easier to see. Right, so let me just go ahead, just hold down the stencil onto my paste, and then I'm going to basically just bring that across. I'm staying away from the little holes. Okay, and I've just poked my finger into the icing by accident. Not what you want to do. Now, what you would do if you were putting this on a cake, you would ice your cake the day before. If you ice your cake and then go straight ahead and stencil, you will dent your cake wherever you tie that stencil. So what I tend to do is I put like on that little rectangle area, there's usually, it's called stencil grip, right? And it's like tuba grip, little bandage stuff, sticks itself, or you can use obviously masking tape. Now, if you use a clip, that can stick into the back of your cake, especially on a freshly iced cake. But what I find is once the paste is set overnight, you've got a lovely base to stencil upon and you're going to do less damage. Okay, so that's just a given. If you use fresh paste, you're going to basically have to maybe buff out any little marks. Like I've just put my finger in this bit, so I'll have to buff that out. You wouldn't leave that on your cake. But then this is what I would do. I would always stencil the day before. Okay, so I'm wanting to give myself a good chance here of just getting this on as quick as I can. Okay. I'll need to do this in 2 stages just because it's taller than my actual scraper. So I'm just going to hold it really nice and firm. And I'm spreading that over just a little bit. Trying to get off the majority. And then I'm going to the bottom part. I've went over the bottom, but remember, this wouldn't be, you would actually trim that down before you did a wrap on your cake. And I probably wouldn't wrap something quite as big as this. I would want to actually have this one attached to my cake so that I don't have that issue. Okay. I'm just going to redistribute some of that icing. Remember what I said, don't lift up. If you lift up, you're going to maybe wreck your design. So for this one, when I have this on a cake, I'll start from this side and I'll scrape back into itself so that I'm staying away from the little pinholes and the little rectangle for attachment. Okay, and then I'm going to scrape back the way. So I have to do it in two because my scraper is not as tall as the stencil. Nice and firm. If you can rest two hands on it, you're going to get a really nice attachment. So I'm just going to scrape that off there. That looks quite evenly stenciled. And there we go. What a beautiful pattern, and it didn't snag. It was clearly my fault. I literally dug it into the stencil when I was pulling it last time. But this is absolutely lovely. And what you would do is, there's a little gap here. Now, the reason you can see it is because I've scraped off the stencil. It's about 4mm, and I left that there so that you could put the thinnest ribbon in that space. So if you like to finish off your cakes with a little bit of ribbon, you've got that. Or if you don't, what you would do is you would actually put the stencil on the cake and you would start it. I mean, if you've got, like, say, a 6-inch cake, you could actually hang that underneath your cake by that, and you could line this up with the top, up to yourself. Or, like, if it's a taller cake, you would just hang this off the bottom of your cake and you wouldn't need any ribbon. I do it either way, like, depends on the height of my cake and what look I'm looking for. But we all know that ribbon will finish off your cake as well. But I quite like clean cuts on a cake. So that's how you would use the big bad boy on fondant. So let me come back to the front. So I hope you found that useful. If there is any questions, I'm just going to wipe my hands. Please do let me know. So top tips, when you're working with fondant, I'm using a gel colour so that the fondant's not wet, so no liquid colours in your fondant. And I love the fractal ones because these ones are concentrated and the colours, like, they're just stunning. Again, Cake Stuff have these, and if I'm right in saying, I think there might be an offer on these next week at Cake Stuff, so you can check there. Obviously, you can get Couture from Cake Stuff, and if you check the comments, there'll be a link to my discount code. Feel free to use it. And then, of course, the stencils, all of them are on my website just now under special offers and all on offer just now. Then the other thing is, if you are working with fondant you're finding it tricky, because what I would tend to do is, basically, if I can demo with this. So normally I would stencil if I was going to wrap a cake. So for these stencils, these ones are really nice to work straight on the cake because there's no jutty out bits. Some stencils that I've had in the past, when you bend it round something, you'll see something poke out the side. If it's not flush to the cake, that's where when you're scraping, your scraper can just nick underneath and you end up with a Royal Icing sort of smudge. So when it's like that, I tend to put tulle round it, and that holds it and grips the stencil to the cake so it's totally flush. But these stencils, these ones are absolutely fine on a cake. Obviously, you would try them yourself, so you place that round. But if you're, like, less confident, I always say do a stencil wrap, and all that requires is measuring the height of your tier. So this one's an 8-inch tall tier. So I would roll out my paste and I would basically cut acetate to the height of 8 inches, top and bottom, so that basically, or you could do it 9 inches, but as long as, like, you would use the actual end of the plastic that you don't cut yourself will be your base, so it's the straightest it'll be, because if you start cutting things, sometimes your hand can wobble. So you use that as a guide for the base of your cake, and then you place your fondant on top, and so long as it covers your acetate height-wise, you're going to be fine. And then what I tend to do is have the acetate longer than the width of the cake. So if that's like a 7-inch cake, to get the diameter or circumference around it, you will times it by 3.14, and that means that whatever that number comes out at, you will cut your acetate slightly longer than that, so you've got something to hold on to as well. So the acetate, your paste will end and your acetate will be slightly out, so you've got somewhere to rest your paste on top, stencil on top, then lift up and wrap around your cake. Obviously, the stencil will be on the top, so what we need to do is to dry it and flip it over. So for instance, this is nicely dry now. I would flip this over and then put the acetate back on it and then flip it back over to the front so that the back end of my piece is facing me. And I would put like some shortening on there, and then I would bring it up and lift it and wrap it around your cake. So I do have demos on that, and they're on this channel as well, but I will do another demo on that maybe soon. So you can let me know if that's something you want to see. But basically, I really like the panel method because, especially if you are feeling less confident, because there's less room for error. If you screw up when you stencil, if you screw something up, it's not a big deal. You get to start again. But it's when you've went to the bother of covering your cake, you set it overnight, and then you go to stencil on your cake, and then you figure out like, oh no, this one's sticking out, or like there's something wrong and you make a mistake, then you either have the dilemma of recovering your cake or stripping it. Whereas if you're doing it flat on the table, any mistakes can be rectified then and there, which just, I don't know, finds like less stressful. But I do it both ways because obviously I've been doing it for like a long time. But each of them, so for instance, if I was one of the demonstrations that I do, and if anybody wants a link to the tutorial, I do have it on my website, and it's basically where I lister a stencil wrap and then a stencil on top using the Meadow Breeze stencil. It's a smaller one of this one, and that basically I do it as a continuous pattern, and then I lift it up and wrap it around. So if you want that, just let me know, link, and basically you can either drop me a message at suzannesbycakeschool.com, that's info at, and I can get that to you if you can't see it on my website. But if you go to my website, which is www.suzannesbycakeschool.com, then under classes, if you click the tab at the top, it will unload like a sort of menu at the bottom. There's one called free tutorials. Click on that and then it'll take you to, we've got everything on there from all the free tutorials I've done, from ranunculus to open peonies to the stenciling and lustering, and there's even baking ones on there as well. And we'll just keep adding to that. And there's some PDF downloads, so all you need to do is to sign up for it. It's free. You just need to pop your details in, and then you'll have an account created on my website. And if you don't have an account, or if you have an account already, it'll just get added to your course, so you don't need to search for anything, and it's all there. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If the stencil and luster tutorial is not there for whatever reason, because we were updating the website on Friday, let me know and I'll get that sorted. So yeah, let me just have a quick look at the comments. Let me see. Oh, I've got loads of comments. Oh, like, thank you, Linda. She says, great tips, Susie. Good to know it's not ruined. You have no idea how many stencils I've done over the last 14 years where I have the icings went underneath the stencil and I've had to go in and fix. So if the paintbrush trick does not work, then you can use like the X-Acto knife, let it dry completely, let it crust over, and then you can go in and you can just gently scrape it away. And if you find that, if you ever like work with a Royal Icing that's too thick and it becomes, there's a bit that's really raised, you can like scrape it back with like an X-Acto knife or a razor blade, or you can dip your clean paintbrush in water and you can start to like sort of dilute it down a little bit. It needs to be warm water so it dissolves some of the sugar crystals, so you can make things look a little bit cleaner. Those are like the tips that I've used in the past. That's so funny. Julie says about the subtitles. I have no control over that. Oh, I would love to see what funny words it's translating. That would be really funny. Too many stencils to pick from, I know. But like these ones, like the reason why I went for releasing this one just now is because I thought I was wanting to display my Rose class, which by the way is in 2 weeks' time, which you can still jump on at the early bird price. So I know that many of the students here today are on there already, but we've got, actually, if you sign up for the Rose class, there's some decent discounts to be had as well, but you'll find that inside your portal, but it's not on the new stencils because they're already reduced. So it's just in full price stuff, but you can pick up the dust colours, you can pick up lusters, you can pick up other stencils, anything else. Once you've purchased that class, you'll get access to our cheeky discount just for students. But anyway, we've got this Rhodes class up for sale as well. But next week, what I'm going to do is I'll do a flower tutorial. I was going to do it in this demo, but I just felt like it was going to be chaos. I mean, already my table's full of like stencils and Royal Icing and everything else. I thought, you know, keep it simple. There's too much going on. But that rose class is up on the website as well under Reflex Rose, under the classes, under single flowers, single individual tutorials. You'll find that there. But you can always search Reflex Rose. Let me see. Oh, right, okay, so if it was this big and I wrapped it, I assume it would be possible to crack the Royal Icing. Yeah, you can definitely crack Royal Icing, but if you go quite fast, so when I have it on acetate, or you don't need acetate, you can use parchment. Basically, that's a kind of guard, because if you don't have it on something, your fingers may cause the sort of paste to warp. So for instance, if I had to lift this up just now, I'll show you this from above actually. Okay, in fact, you can see that. If I had to lift it up on something like acetate, there's strength behind it, okay? So it's not going to warp because it's resting on something my hands aren't touching, the sort of design. But if I had to lift up paste, because this has been sitting for a couple of minutes, at the moment it's not actually warping, because you'd want to get this on your cake as soon as possible. If you leave it sitting for half an hour or so, or 20 minutes, you'll find that this will dry much more. So the idea is you're going to, if I had to demonstrate, and I don't know how this will work just now, but because it's been sitting, but what you would do, oh, I'm just trying to get another piece of acetate out. To flip it over, I would place acetate or, what do you call it, parchment, and I'm basically going to lift it and flip it, okay? Okay, so that's it flipped over. So now, when I lift this up, and I've trimmed it and all the rest of it, and like say for instance, like I had something to hold on to, so if I had to, like if that was there, I would, like, you know, I'd cut that down and trimmed all my paste off, etc. So I would have something to hold on to. The part where I've rolled larger, I would hold that with my fingers because I know I'm going to trim it, and I'd lift it up round the cake, so I've got less chance of like damaging any of the Royal Icing. But if I flip this back, it would be absolutely fine, okay? But the longer you leave it, the more chance you've got of that crusting. But at the minute, it's behaving. So the rules are get it on your cake as soon as possible, and you won't notice. And also, if you were like up close, like from a distance, you will never see cracking, okay? So let's see if we can make that crack. So if I had to scrunch that and then lay it flat, can you see the cracking? But there's definitely cracking, okay? So let me just show you from the side. So if I go to this video here, I need to show you up here where it's more in focus. Where is the focus actually? Is it here? Right, there's the focus bit there. So if I had to like squidge that, it's all kind of cracked, okay? But if I place that flat, pad that out again. I gave it a right good squeeze, by the way, so I'll probably ruined it a wee bit. But it's not too bad. So obviously you're not going to do that. You're literally going to lift it up and wrap it round. But where I scrunched it, there's like markings all in here, but you can't actually really see it. So go for it, get it on your cake as quick as possible, and don't touch the pattern, okay? So the plastic you're going to wrap round, and then you've got a chance to smooth. Get a smoother, like one of the plastic smoothers, just to help get on the back end, you'll have shortening. So when it's facing forward, you put shortening on the back, you've got your plastic in the bottom, you've got your fondant, you've got your shortening, and then you're going to lift that up and wrap it around the cake with minimum touching, and then you're going to get a smoother round just to like attach it, and then you shouldn't get any cracking. So that was a really long-winded way of sharing that. To stencil a 7-inch deep cake, shall I do it on ice cake, and not use tulle on top. Joe, it depends what stencil you're using. Honestly, I've used tulle on 6-inch cakes. I've used tulle on 5-inch cakes, depending on when I wrap, and especially if you've got a 5-inch cake, when you wrap a stencil round, it's tighter and you've got more poking outy bits, okay? When it's a bigger cake, it's more gentler rounding of the stencil. You've got less chance of things poking out. But when it's nice and tight, if there is any bits that's going to poke out, it's likely to poke out more. So therefore, I would probably use tulle depending on what the design is. But you have to have a play. And what I tend to do is I will test on dummies if I don't know what the stencil is going to behave like. But I do that check where I'll have the stencil and I'll just roll it in front of my eyes. Like, so for instance, if I show you my older, this one here is the old Meadow Breeze. Okay, so if I wrap that there, do you see that little bit there? So if this was in a shorter, say it was in a 4-inch cake, that has the ability to poke out. Okay, this bit here. Now, if it was flat, it's not a problem. But if I wrap that round a tighter cake, if it was like, say, an 8-inch cake, it's not poking out, okay? But if I tighten it round a 5-inch cake, you see how it's poking out now? That's when I would use the tulle. So there's ways that you would, there's reasons for using the tulle, and then there's, if you like it as a safety net, then just use it all the time. I know a lot of people like the tulle on top of, like, say, lace stencils because it gives that kind of lacy effect, because it's got all the wee crisscrossy bits. But if you like a plainer one, or I think, like, for me, the tulle was always a great backup if I was ever worried, because it's always going to give you a good coverage. It's got less chance of seeping behind the stencil, and then for the pokey outy bits, it was a must. But when you're using like a bigger tier, like for instance these ones, we've designed it in such a way there's no pokey outy bits, because, like, I mean, these have been thoroughly tested by myself before they go on the market. So these are our new size. So I was always aware, and I always kept sending it back to get it like tweaked. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with the new ones. So that's why we kind of updated those. And even with like these ones, I do the exact same. I always check when I'm rolling it to see if there's anything poking out. And you can do that with any stencils, not just mine. Anything that pokes out, you want to use tulle, or the flat method, where you would, if it pokes up at one side, if you had to scrape your Royal Icing one way, it might go under. Then you would work from the opposite direction just to make sure you're completely secure. Let me see. So Maria says she has better success when she wraps a cake. Honestly, do whatever method you love. I love both ways, and both of them for different reasons at different times. But it's great tricks to have up your sleeve. Sinead said, a good tip on the panelling method. I'm always so nervous stenciling directly onto the cake. Oh, thanks, Michelle. She said, love your stencils. Thank you so, so much. Oh, Monique says your new stencils are beautiful. Right, okay, so actually we need to give one away. I almost forgot. Oh, I know who Soul Searcher is. It's the lovely Wendy. We'll use all my new products and classes when I finally get settled in New Zealand. Loving your new website. Moved all my classes over easily. I was telling somebody about you today, Wendy, so I'll need to email you about that, actually. There's a really excited lady in New Zealand. Let me just say that. Hi, Selena. She says, fantastic demo, Susie. Love the stencils and all the hints and tips are great. We'll look for the other stencil videos to help as well. Thank you. Yeah, those are on the page. So there's ones where I do directly on with the tulle. That's the floral splash one. And then I do a wrap with the Meadow Breeze, the old version. Your parsley. That's so funny. I don't know what you mean, Jo. She says, your parsley machine is parsley. So my parsley machine is just hiding up the back. At some point, I will bring it out for the demos. That's so funny. Okay, Carol says, please can I request you do another wrap over a stencil where you turn it over? Of course. So I'm going to be starting to do, I hope you like me going live on YouTube, because I'm going to start coming live regularly here. I'm going to hopefully do a demo at least every 2 weeks. on a different aspect of cake decorating. Sometimes it'll be like things that I've done in the past. It'll be sugar flowers, cake stencils, it'll be cake decorating, hints and tips, cookie stuff. There'll be a whole host of things coming on this YouTube channel. So make sure you like and subscribe. That would be lovely. Let me see. Rebecca says, lovely clear explanation. Oh, thank you so, so much. Oh, Joe says, thank you, I get it now. Thank you. I'm pleased. So I'm not sure who this is. BH says, I've been watching on my phone in the car, back home, watching on my iPad now. Much better. Thanks for the demo. You are welcome. Oh, Wendy is squealing. Yeah, honestly, like this lady is beyond ecstatic. So I said I'd put you in touch. Tina says, lovely as always, Susie. Oh, thank you, Neve. She said, Rebecca. I just read your second name. The new ones are awesome, although still a huge fan of the Meadow Breeze. I love the Meadow Breeze and I love the big double one because I can see that it's going to be so useful when I do the deep tiers beyond like 8 inches because I love, like for instance, this square one here. That's a 10-inch tall cake, so it's going to... I love these ones because they're so multifunctional. It's not just for one cake. Brilliant, Caesar. Looking forward to the demos. I do hope you enjoy it here. Right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to scroll up and down as I do. Everybody that's commented, you are in for the chance of winning any of these stencils. All you need to do is, if your name gets picked, then please just let me know. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to scroll up and down. I'll do this on the camera, and wherever my finger lands, that's how it works. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to turn it over just now. So I'm at the bottom of the comments. Hang on, I'm at the bottom, right? And then I'm going to scroll up and down, scroll up and down, scroll up and down. And then I am basically going to just stop. Okay, because there's also T's and C's are. There's no monetary value here. You get the stencil, and if you don't want it, then that's absolutely fine. And I'll post anywhere in the world, right? Okay, so I'm just going to go this one here. Rebecca Neve. Oh, hang on. Rebecca Neve, my finger landed in you, my love. So you get to, if you email me on info@SuzanneSperCakeSchool or support@SuzanneSperCakeSchool and tell me, let me come back to the front, tell me which stencil you want. It can be any of these ones. It can be the full length, it can be the border, it can be any of these at all. Yeah, very excited for you. So congratulations, Rebecca. I hope you love that stencil. You just said you love the Meadow Breeze. So if you want the double height one, that's absolutely fine. Or if you prefer the fallen leaves, you just let me know. So next week, I am going to be doing a demo on a sugar flower. I was thinking about that like this week about doing a little filler flower, but I honestly couldn't decide what to do. I had too many on my head. So I will make sure I narrow that down for next week. I'll get a little display one done so you can see what I'm going to be doing. But come along next Sunday. I'm obviously going to be talking about my Rose class. So if you haven't signed up, please do sign up. We will be doing that live on the 12th of May on YouTube. It's going to be a private link, so that'll get mailed out just a day or two before the live. I'd love you to join, and if you can't join live, don't worry because it's recorded and it'll go straight into the portal 24 hours after. So you get to come along and view, and yeah, it's basically Facebook are no longer allowing us to stream directly into groups. They made it a little bit more faffy. So in order to combat that until something becomes in place, I'm going to do my things on YouTube. So this is why we're testing it out and just getting a wee road test of the old YouTube. So that's 2 weeks time, May the 12th. I think it's at 2 p.m. UK time, and we're going to be doing, like, I'm going to demo on the rose tutorial, and you can come along and join in, and we'll pick whatever colour we're going to do on the day, and then basically, as soon as you join up, if you join up just now, you get instant access to all the pro-recorded tutorials. They're already loaded up, as well as the tools and materials and the step-by-steps. So you can access that straight away. You can get a little practice in before you come along to the live. And the live is really for you to ask me questions. It's a way that we can interact in real time. And yeah, if you have a practice beforehand and you do stumble on something, come and ask the questions, because I bet you somebody else has got a similar question. And basically that's what we're up to. So it is on early bird just now, so it's £30, but that will rise. I'm actually going to extend the early bird until the 7th because my ads, I was so busy last week, I've not managed to get anything up about it. So I'll be starting to advertise it properly from next week. So I want to give it about a week's advertisement. And then on the 7th, it goes up in price. So you have between now until the 7th to take advantage of our early bird at £30. And it's got 3 flowers, different sizes, 3 colours, and then there's a leaf tutorial as well. So you're getting 4 tutorials in that video series. So I hope you're going to join me. Let me know if there's any more questions. Congratulations again, Rebecca. Let me just check. Oh, brilliant. So Colette says, great demo. Thank you, Susie. We'll watch again next Sunday. Can you turn the volume up? Let me know if anybody else got trouble with the volume, because it's quite it's like a standard volume on our microphones that I use for all of my tutorials. So I don't think it's at my end, but let's just double check. Mary, lovely to see you, Mary. I missed the first hour, pretty early in Los Angeles. Oh, thanks so much for joining us. Can I watch later on your channel? It's going to be it'll be available here straight after. As soon as I finish the recording, you can jump back on. That's so funny. I don't know who Josh Ducky Boy is. I need to create another account now that we're moving on to YouTube, so that I'm not Josh Ducky Boy. Do you know what? It'd be really good. Even if you just put in brackets, or when you do a comment, your name, so that I know who you are. It's so funny. Oh, thank you so much. Corley says, I've just put in an order for some of the new stencils. Thank you, my lovely friend. Really, really pleased. Thank you. Oh, look at everybody congratulating Rebecca. Thank you. That's great. Make sure you just reach out and you tell me what you want. And if your new address is not on the website, just remind me of it. And basically I'll get that out tomorrow to you. So Carol says, great demo, great tips. Can you explain about the small square stencils you mentioned at the beginning, please? Are you thinking about these? Let me just bring this back. So you're thinking about the embossers? Oh, hang on, you can't see that there. So this is what the embosser is. So this is for cupcakes, right? I'll just do a quick demo just now. I need a wee knife. I'm going to scrunch up some of that fondant. So these are for cupcakes, or whatever you want, really. Just getting a knife. Let me know if this is what you mean, because I've got a feeling that it is. So I'm just going to take a bit of the fondant. Now that's been sat out for ages. It's starting to feel a little bit dry, but normally couture, which is really good actually, it's just come back in my hand. There's no crispiness or anything. I actually really, really like couture. And I like this new blend of it. Okay, so what you do is, we'll do both, right? So I've placed that on there. Just going to grab my rolling pin. So you could probably roll your paste out before you even go near your embosser, just so that you've got the right size. And then I'm going to just roll that down a little bit. So there's 2 ways of doing it. You can put your fondant on the table and then roll your embosser on top. And then when you peel off your fondant, you need to actually put a little bit of corn flour on it. Okay, but I'm just going to gently peel this off. If you put corn flour on it, you don't need to do it as delicate as what I'm doing. You'll be able to just pull it off. I forgot. So I'll do it in the next one. I'm just gently teasing this off now. That was a rookie mistake. But it's really nice. And then what you would do is, I've got some cookie cutters. So if you had, like say, a square cookie, make sure your edges are nice and clean. That would be a lovely topper on your cookie. I really like the Meadow Breeze one. I actually just got this, did it on my laser this morning actually. I've been sat on this for a wee while, but I completely forgot to do it before today. So this one I'll do it the second way, which is basically roll out your fondant first because you've got a nice flat base, okay? And then corn flour, but I've just got ice and sugar on the table, so I'll just... Corn flour, ice and sugar should do the same job. We just don't want it to stick, that's all. Okay, so again, you can roll from the top. Or you can turn it upside down. And look how easy that comes off, because it's got the lovely ice and sugar on it. So I'm going to have my ranges of these embossers up very, very soon. I've just got to take some photographs of them. But if I show you from the side, don't know where is the best, where is it here? Yeah, you can see that it's really nice and raised. And that would be on a cookie, and it's super pretty. Now, if you're very adept, you can basically scrape the flour paste into these little sections. You can do this in white, and then you can put it on top of a coloured paste. So this one's the, that's the fallen leaves one, which is really, really beautiful. And you can do the same, if I just do it just now while it's sat there. If I put some ice and sugar in this one. This one's the Lily Abstract, which I know many of you bought the stencil for. It's like it means that you've got a range of lovely tools that all match. And so if you were doing like a cake and cupcakes, you can use these. So at some point I'll probably do larger ones as well, but just for now, it's just a kind of case of what we've got. So you can see, oh, it's a bit hard to see that one. I need to cut off this and you'd actually see that more raised. But it's really, really pretty. And they just, I don't know, I just really like them. And then you can do, so that's like a lovely little effect where it's raised. You can, of course, put blister on top and it jumps out, or you can push white paste into all of the grooves and then backfill it with a coloured paste so it jumps out. And then, so if you had that one plus a stencil cupcake, you've got a couple of different things. You can roll your stencil over icing as well. It's a bit flatter, but it's still a nice little trick too. So there's loads of things you can do. Let me know if that is what you meant. I hope so. Otherwise you're like, thanks for that. Thanks for the extra demo. Oh, cool. Carol says, that's it. Thanks, Sandy. They look lovely. Have you got these on your website? I should actually get them up by, I could probably get 2 of them up by today. And then the other one in a day or two. I just need to take some photographs of it. Would you use this to stick to a cookie? Yes. Cookies, cupcakes. So if you've got a round cutter, normally for a cupcake, I would do like the sort of dome effect where the cutter I would use is a 9cm cutter. And you would have like, I don't know if you've got like foam balls, like half foam balls that you dry your fondant over. You can do that with these as well. So these would like drape over like a cupcake and look absolutely gorgeous, or cookies, whatever one you want. It's absolutely fine. You can do it for both. But I think they're both absolutely gorgeous. And I love embossers. Let me see. Will I be selling the acrylic spacers for rolling out fondant? Yes, I will. The reason I haven't so far is I just haven't put my logo on it yet. But as soon as I do, I'll try and get that done this week, because I know, like, I've showed it a few times and they're so handy for rolling out your fondant, especially cookies, like tops, because we don't want to be rolling too thick a fondant. So I've got spacers which are 3mm and 5mm. I'm going to order more material for some 2mm. So if anybody wants to use that for like a few, 3mm is usually what you want for like fondant, but even then I still want it a bit thinner when I'm wrapping a cake. So I will, I'm going to order in some 2mm material as well, so that you've got a range there. But I'll get onto that, I promise, I promise, I promise. There's just, it's like, it feels like there's never enough time in the day. But I have to say thank you so much for joining me. Congratulations again, Rebecca. get in touch and we'll get that out. So yeah, well, hopefully I'll see you next week, if not through the week. What is it? Hopefully I'll see you through the week, if not through a window. But I promise I won't come up to your window. All right, guys, you have a fantastic day, and I will see you next week. I'll see you then. Bye.